What's up guys, so today I really love Neverness to Everness. Not only do I love Neverness to Everness, but I've already completed everything in the game. So, craving more, I wanted one thing. Can you complete the game with just Esper 0? And so that's what I exactly did, under two main rules. I can only use Esper 0, and I'm not allowed to switch to any other character during everything. 2. Canon events are allowed, meaning if the game forces you to use a character, only then it is allowed to use that character. So, without further ado, let's get started. Because I already played the game already, I wanted to do this as quick as possible, so I picked Esper 0 Male, since I heard that he is quicker than most other characters, thus being more efficient. All my speedrunning dreams went out the window when I realized loading times were insanely large because of my old PC. And bam! Obviously we skip every cutscene there is to cutscene and every dialogue there is to dialogue because I ain't going through all that again. And guess what? I failed the challenge already because you start off as Lacrimosa, Skia, and Fadia, but since these are canon events, these are okay. I hate this wolf guy, man. I always get him into my pools and I get no one else. And I already have him maxed out, like... Come on, man. Although he looks cool by design, I just hate when I just hate when I pull him, man, okay? And with that, we complete the pre-tutorial combat, Esperless. With that, there are some unskippable scenes, such as this one, which we just have to sit through. This is such like an anime protagonist voice. Only cause you're here, you know? The good thing about one character only challenges is that all the resources we use will only be put into Esper, so we'll basically never run out of them, unlike some endgame players. I also realized one thing. I still only have like 25% of the actual story in my head because... But I skipped it. I skipped all the stuff on my first playthrough anyway, bro, so yeah. I ain't doing none of that, bro. To save time, I tried to skip fighting the enemies, but found out I just had to fight them anyway. We do! Oh my gosh, I just wasted so much time. And with that, we fought the enemies. Is it lemons? Maybe, like, I don't know what build I should go here. Like, should it just be like DPS or like a, I don't know, like a breaking build? A good thing here is that you don't have to use mint, so we were okay. Except the enemies are super tough sometimes. The thing about this boss fight is that it took me 3 minutes, and without the reactions from mint, the constant blossoms helping me out, I got super tired and my hands actually started to like kind of rot from being in one position the whole time and my muscles kind of like got super tired. But the thing with that is I actually didn't know the blossoms were on the ground. I thought you had to like go over to them to heal, but that's just my bad, man. With that, we're on our way to do all the tutorials and the first main story quest. And one thing that you need to know about my main account is that I have Fadia, so whenever I take damage it goes to Fadia, so I can just hit a lot and I don't really need to dodge or anything. I can just tank the hits. But I found it really apparent that I do need to learn how to dodge when I was fighting Targido. I nearly got busted from Targido because I just didn't dodge properly, or when the crits came I dodged the crits instead of parrying them, like, and it took ages and it took way longer than I thought, way longer than it needed to be, and way longer than my first time. And this is when you can't even level your characters up, so everybody takes this long, and I was mega struggling, okay? I'm pretty sure most of the people were better than me, but this fight, again, took me 3 minutes, so maybe it's a foreshadowing of how long the boss fights will take me in the future, but this took me 3 minutes again. Now we get to the pools. My strategy was to use the Forgotten because it's not an S tier, so it won't be as rare, but you can still get multiple copies to fine tune it because when you get above 50% HP you have more attack, and we need all the attack that we can get. So that was my strategy, to get all the Forgotten pools so I could fine tune it to the max quickly. So we equip everything and upgrade everything to do with Esper 0, so then our boss fights don't take 5 minutes long, so then we actually have stats to fight with. Now, one thing I love about this game is that you're not actually gated by your attack or your power level. Most of the story in this game, most of the story quests in this game are just like investigating, moving around and finding the lore and getting to know the characters in the story. But for me, it's about just doing it as quick as possible because I already done this before, I've seen this before, so I'm trying to move as fast as I can because I don't want to sit through it twice as long as I need to, more longer than I need to. So I did it as quick as I can, And then we get to the boss fight. Oh my gosh. So, you know how I said before about how this game is not usually gated by levels and it's more about getting to know the characters and stuff? Well, when you do get to a boss fight, then it's a struggle, because I feel like this game is built more around the reactions and the skill abilities that you have and the reactions you can have with other characters. So when you get to the boss fights, it kind of gives you other characters, so then you can have reactions with them and have their abilities comboing with Esper Zeros. But I couldn't use any of that, so the boss is supposed to die way quicker than you're supposed to than just doing it solo. So, if you're wondering, how long did this boss fight take me? Did it take me 3 minutes? No. Did it take me 4 minutes? No. Did it take me 5 minutes? No. This boss fight took me nearly 10 minutes. It took me 9 minutes to finish this boss fight, because I didn't have anyone's reactions, and I didn't have the power of friendship reaction that you're supposed to get when you have Adler and everyone. And you know what? I just soloed it. And not only happened, my internet freaking died in the middle. Well, kind of in the middle of it, but I had to wait until I reconnected so I could keep doing the boss fight, because I am not losing that progress. So this boss fight took me 9 minutes because I had no reactions, no power of friendship, and I just had to solo it. And not only that, the Sekiris for this boss fight are actually kind of tough as well. So I had like 3 lots of Sekiris to deal with, so that ramped up my time by a lot. Remember how I said how I had Fadia on my main account, so I was just used to taking everything? This was the first time I actually needed to use food to heal myself up. Kinda crazy. So I made the mistake of buying a bike too late. What I mean by this is the first bike you can get is around $200 to $3,000. For some reason I thought the first bike you can get was $3 million, which is the second bike you can get, and so I was just using a scooter most of the time to get around, which is kind of ridiculous now that I think about it, when the bike you can get is only like 300,000, which means I could have got it way earlier and saved so much more time. Look at this guy using a freaking scooter. So my current plan was just to get as many quests as possible and do as many quests as possible, that way I can get as much Hunter XP as possible. And so what I would do is I would ignore the small commissions, because you only get like 10 XP per commission for that, but I would do the big commissions. And you bet as hell I'm awakening the special abilities ASAP. Thank you very much. And so this is when we get to our first actual free play boss fight. The reason we're fighting this boss is because we want to get as much Hunter XP as possible, and that includes the City Tycoon. The City Tycoon gives you a ton of Hunter XP, literally just passively for doing things, and so this is why we're doing this first boss. Keep in mind, the very first time that I fought this boss on my main account, it just took forever, mainly because I was scared of leveling people, because I didn't know who to level for, you know, the meta. But also I wanted to save resources, but also for some reason, I just, like, I don't know, I just, like, fight things with my lowest level first, and then I upgrade them at the last possible moment because I'm, like, saving materials or something. I don't know what's wrong with me. I did the same in Genshin, I did the same in WoW. I don't know what's with me and doing that, but this time I leveled everything up, and this boss fight actually took quicker, I'm pretty sure, than my before boss fights on my main account. This is the first boss that took underneath 2 minutes that we've seen so far, so new world record for me, but also I'm pretty sure the bosses, the canon bosses that you have to fight within the story, take so much more longer than the bosses that you fight just normally. And so since this is about beating the story, I had to have an optimal path to get to the story as quick as possible to do the quests, and I had to increase my hunter level as quick as possible to do the stories as soon as possible. So what I would do is do my dailies every day, and I would also use my pixel dust to farm. Now what do I farm here? Well, you get a lot of resources from doing just stuff in general. You get tons of selection boxes from the hunter select. So my plan was to farm not the mats you get for the arcs, not the mats that you get to level up your character, but the mats that you get for your modules, because that's the only way that you can consistently and reliably get coins to farm for modules, as well as get the resources to make your arcs even better. Mats for my character, I kind of forgot that modules are a thing, so I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but I also wanted to upgrade the Explorer Guide because that gives you a lot of Hunter XP as well. However, we have a problem. For one of the ways to level up your Explorer Guide, you have to do a combat tutorial, and the combat tutorial involves you using an elemental reaction. So That includes you switching to mint, which I give you, but in keeping this pure, I did not do the combat tutorial, nor did I finish it, nor did I switch to mint. Remember how I said I thought the bike was more expensive than it was, so I just scooting around all the place? Yeah, I used my scooter everywhere to do all the local quests, so you can just see me scooter around doing all the quests near in the main area, so that way I don't have to travel as far as I need to, because, you know, it's all close. I can at least do it, and it'll be kind of like the same as doing it on a bike or a car, maybe even better. One thing that I have to say though is that these guys are kind of tough to basic attacks. If you're not using your ults or abilities, then these guys take literally forever. They're supposed to be fodder, but they take forever. And the second thing is, Esper's ability, normal ability, is not really like an area ability. Like they have to be really tight together for it to get all of them. So usually it just kills one and it's like raw. It's kind of rage baity. See, look at that, what the heck. After doing the Fuzzy Wuzzy side quest, this is when I realized I can level up my freaking arc, and I kind of forgot that I could. So here is where I level up my arc. After leveling everything up, including my character, my arc, this is when I was like, oh, this is where I can get modules, because that will really boost me and my attack stats, because you can get so many stats from the modules. And this is when I navigated to the, not the module, but yeah, the module thing. And this is where the pathing of Neverness is kind of busted, because on the way there, I ran into the whale. And guess what happened? This is also where I made up my mind, because I was like, you know what? I can't get a car. I can't get a bike yet. I'm just gonna steal everyone's cars. And so I stole everyone's cars. What? What? Oh my gosh, what? No! And so one thing this game is extremely good on is how quickly you can just farm, Usually when I was farming in Genshin or WoW, it would take me ages to fight stuff just to get materials, to the point where I kind of quit WoW because of the amount of mats you had to farm and the time it took to farm them and everything. But here it just takes like literally a minute or even less depending on how strong your characters are. And so I just repeated the process of getting the pixels and getting my hunter level up, so then I was ready to do the next story, which is the Tagido quest, which I dread. And so after getting to hunter level 11 or something, I think, or level hunter 14 or something, I finally could do Tagido. But first of all, I completed all the modules so I could at least fill everything up, so then I had the extra stats as well as all the stats that I needed to go on with the next Tagido mission, which I absolutely despise. Did I say that already or not? I mainly focused on crit damage, crit rate, attack percentage, and damage percentage, because I feel like just just flat attack is just better. So that session took me an hour and 50 minutes. Now I'm fully ready to do the Tagido quest at hunter level 10. So let us do the Tagido quest. And you can definitely bet your butt I am skipping all the cutscenes, I'm skipping all the dialogue, especially for the Tagido quest, okay? Because it's just him saying Tagido, okay? I get it, Tagido. It's like, thankfully the vehicle that you steal doesn't disappear, so at least I had my Jeep still. One thing I don't understand is when Tagido's buying a gift, well, why do we have to pay for it? Why are we using our own funds to buy Tagido's gift for his girlfriend, for his date, by the way? If he wants it, he should get it. That just means we're more invested in his relationship than he is in his relationship, which is kind of busted, not gonna lie, that I'm forking out my own money, my funds, which I can spend on Beetle Coin, okay? I need the funds more so, okay? If anything, I need it more because I need to upgrade everyone on the roster, okay? Were you reading the dialogue? Because I wasn't. Were you reading the story? Because I wasn't. So anyway, whatever the heck happened, Tagido gets ready for his date, so now we are going on a date with him, or like protecting him on a date. I don't know what the heck's going on here. I didn't read anything. Yeah, you bet your ass I'm skipping everything. So, without further ado, here is me on my moped getting a candy for gosh knows what, when the actual data should be getting the candy. Why? This is just so awkward. Imagine your first date with a person, being around with all your friends. No, bro. I'm just a solo person, even with friends. I'm a one-on-one person, so I cannot fathom this happening to me. If I were to go on a double date with someone, it would have to be with someone that I know personally. Well, that's the point of a date. But then with other people that I know personally as well. So originally with the timer, I was going to timer everything, but then I forgot to save the timer from my first session, so that my second session was fresh, and then I typed stuff into Google, which messed with my timer because the same button was O, and I pressed Google, so then I type in Google, and then the timer stops, and then, yeah, so the timer's all messed up, so I kind of gave up with the timer at this point. Next we have the Natalie boss fight. Now the Natalie boss fight is actually super hard, like, Natalie's actually super tough. She can take so many hits and she does a lot of damage, plus it's so hard to like predict her movement. There's like hardly any foreshadowing. She does multiple hits and it's like, bruh, Natalie is actually the boss. Natalie's probably one of the hardest bosses along with the HP and stuff. Like, jeepus, it's one of those times where like you're like, yeah, you pull for it and you're like, yeah, it's finally a one-to-one with the character versus the boss. Even better as a character. Surprisingly, this boss fight only took around 2 minutes, which is really neat. I love 2-minute boss fights, even if they feel like 10 minutes. In the middle of the quest, I found this random ninja sword. I was like, oh my gosh, is this something special? And it turns out it's just one of the anomaly furnitures that you get, which is pretty neat. So if you ever go to this area, try to get the sword so then you can upgrade your anomaly furnitures. So, yeah. And don't forget, during your gaming moments, you need to hydrate. You need to take some water, drink some water, and you also need to take to the toilet, okay? Do not hold in your bladder or your waz or whatever, because that's not healthy. So in the middle of this session, I went for a waz and hydrated. So I had a bad feeling about this boss fight, but also kind of a good feeling because I know for a fact this boss fight is super tanky, okay? This guy has a lot of HP, but at the same time, it splits. The goob or whatever it's called splits. The Imaginado, it splits, which means you can do almost double the damage. Except the bad thing is you can't do double the damage because this thing splits up too much. Like, they keep at a distance from each other because I don't know why, but a lot of the time it was really apparent. I could not dodge for the life of me, nor could I do crits. So this could have taken way shorter if I just dodged stuff, but I didn't because I don't know anything. But yeah, this boss for me took around 5 minutes, which is kind of long, which is way too long for my liking. But yeah, sometimes when boss fights take too long, my hand muscles actually get fried, and I don't know why. They actually become sore like I've been working out with them. And with that, we complete the Takido quest. Thank goodness, man. But anyway, we need to reach Hunter level 14, which means we actually need to do some quests. We need to grind out some quests. So without further ado, we did the tomato jelly report. Little did I know we had to switch characters. One thing that was so refreshing about using an auto account is that I was not afraid to spend my annual lifts. Since this is an Esper only account, I can just spend whatever I want because the whole point of this account is just to do Esper only. So I can just pull whatever I want, use whatever I want, and then just see my rolls. And you know what I thought would be funny? If I got the Porsche on this account, because that's actually useful that I can spend my annual lifts on. And I did not end up getting the Porsche. But the pulls are actually super useful for me to get the forgotten duplicates, so I kind of had to do the pulls anyway. But what's easier than doing the tomato quest? Doing the city tycoon, doing all the small missions to get hundreds of Hunter XP. So that's what I did. And I bought my first car and did my first race. And by that time, I had around 1 million funds, and so I was like, you know what, I might as well check up on this bike. And it was what? This bike's only 250k? I could have got this bike ages ago and saved so much of my lifespan using the friggin' bike. But guess what? Now we have the bike, apparently, so now we can do a lot of things quicker. And so we try to go fishing, and anyone else does that with their bike, where they just accidentally fall into the water, or they like get off their bike and the bike just goes into the water. Yeah, I do that all the time. But we do a little bit of fishing. We gotta spend some city stamina, you know. We opened up our own coffee shop and fought a bunch of boxing gloves. We also opened up our apartment, did an anomaly which only give you 10 XP. That's when I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing any more anomalies. And yeah, well, I kinda lied, I didn't do the tomato quest yet, so I just hit one phone booth and I was Hunter level 14, which made us ready for the next quest. Skipping all the dialogue and waiting as long as you need to be in this area. Oh my goodness, the way everyone walks so slow. we made it to driving Juyuen's car, crashing Juyuen's car, but also losing Juyuen's car. After Hathor gives us a ride, I realized you can skip the octopus truck. This whole time I thought the octopus truck was a canon event, but it's skippable. It's just a normal anomaly that you can skip. I thought it was part of the story, but apparently you can just leave it. So finally we made it to the auction, and we definitely sped run everything. One thing that was actually kind of crazy was this, what do you call it, like a picklock or something? Lock jugger? I don't know. He was actually really tanky, and he took me 47 seconds to beat. Now, this was only because he was actually kind of like static and didn't do anything, but if he moved and everything and had tougher armor, I could see this being 5 minutes long. There's no reason for this guy to be this tough. I don't know if it was just in my first playthrough, but my first playthrough, this sequence took ages and ages and ages, but I'm pretty sure I sped things up this time. And then I kind of forgot this boss was a thing, and I kind of forgot how hard this boss was. So going into this the first time, the boss actually killed me the first time, and I had to reset. I had to reset immediately because the main character died. And so the second time I did the boss, I beat the boss. Thank you very much. It was crazy because on my first attempt I was so close, and then I just got cooked, and it was so annoying. But after doing it again, I beat it. My failed attempt took me 5 minutes, and as soon as I died, I exited the realm. So then I reset, I bought some food, I bought different types of food, I went to the pharmacy, I bought pills that would help me heal, but then I found out later you can get like much better food, but those would help me for now. It's crazy because in the second phase of the boss fight, you take damage that you cannot avoid, and that's what killed me in the first time, which is why I got so annoyed. But in saying that, the second boss fight, the second time I attempted to fight the boss, it took me 8 gosh damn minutes, bro. Maybe because there was 3 phases with these people first, and then the boss, and then the second phase of the boss, but 8 minutes long for a boss? Hell nah. After finishing this quest, I attempted to get this one teleportation point since it's in the center of the map, and I failed so many times. Now usually I'm pretty good at obbies, but this one, I don't know what was wrong with it. I just failed so many times. With that, I did the quest where you have to beat the fox, and the fox took me so long. The fox took me around 8 minutes to do. How the hell? Level 30 Morphix, and I'm taking 8 minutes. These non-story bosses are taking me longer than the story bosses, although the story boss still took me 8 minutes before, but this is just insane to me that it took me this long. So how was it 8 minutes? How did it take me so long? Is my character's build just like bad? Because like, what am I doing? And plus, to be fair, I was missing a lot. Like, I took so many hits and I wasn't dodging a lot, and you know, I wasn't hitting a lot of crits since I'm playing on the Europe server and my native is Oceania, so my ping's like way worse, so I can't hit most of the crits that I need to as well. What's crazy to me is these spin-off quests usually take 15 to 30 minutes to do, and I feel like they take an hour to do, even though it literally takes less time than that. But that's just me. I don't know if my perception of time is just weird. But anyway, alas, even in normal fights, I still feel like instinctive to press the different button to get the skill to happen. So usually I just like don't have anyone in my party, but when this happens where it's like they already puts people in your party, it's like no, I have to like literally restrain myself so hard. This flower boss is actually so annoying on my main account, it takes so long, but luckily this only took around 4 minutes using Esper only. After finishing all those quests, finally we hit the Tomato Lacrimose quest. The thing with the Tomato Lacrimose quest, you have to fight the Tomato Devil 3 separate times, and the thing about it is, doesn't really count if you become Targido / Lacrimosa when you're in that cannon boss fight. I don't think it should count, because I was already halfway through the quest when I had to switch to Targido when doing that flying thing. I think that's a canon event because you're not even switching to use different abilities and stuff, it's basically forcing you to do it. But each time I faced the Tomato Devil, it took around 2 to 3 minutes. 3 minutes at most, 2 minutes at minimum. So I was pretty gosh damn happy with that. I learned a lot about myself and my happiness, and finally I learned how to dodge and do crits more often, so that was always good. Here's when I also realized leveling up the Tycoon and my character level / exploration level wouldn't work, because as I said before, you have to use mint in the basic tutorial. So my main way of getting Hunter XP through the city tycoon was busted as well. So I had to get Hunter XP in other ways. I had to do all the commission, a lot of the commissions actually, a lot of the sub stories, and yeah, I just had to do a lot of those. But one thing that really carried me is I didn't want to get burnt out too much. So I thought a good balance would be playing 2 hours a day, but even then it was just like my brain, and it didn't feel right playing 2 hours a day. I just got too burnt out and I didn't want to play it anymore. So I just took a small break where I'd only do my dailies every day. And guess what? Those dailies actually helped me because you get 1500 Hunter XP from doing your dailies, which is actually a good chunk of a Hunter level. And so that was my strategy. I would play a little bit, do some of the quests, use my pixels, but also do my dailies for that extra big bump in Hunter XP. But I also realized I can also be doing weekly bosses as well as normal farming, because weekly bosses also unlock special abilities for your Hunter down the road. And with that, I was Hunter level 25, ready to take on the universe, doing the quest with Daffodil in the mansion and that random girl with the 2 colored eyes and whatever. Easy lemons. Facing our first boss of this particular storyline, we took down the Debt Collector twice in about 7 minutes, which is a pretty good time. The only thing that I have to say is that I learned to dodge really well. I learned to dodge and do crits really well. As well as I started using food. This is the first time I have in any gacha actually used food not only to heal myself up, but to give me defense buffs, attack buffs, crit rate damage buffs, crit damage buffs. So boom, I think that definitely helps. Even if it doesn't show a lot of damage, I still think it passively helps as you do more hits over time. And with that, we see some toes. Unfortunately, the game makes us use Nanily, so I didn't switch Daffodil, I just used Nanily. And what I can say is, Nanily is actually so good. I should have pulled her on my main account because Nanily, damn, I really like her style, I really like how she plays, and she's just cool overall. But I enjoyed it while it lasted, although it kind of makes me feel the challenge. Not with the rules I have in place though. And with that, we move on to the next boss. And with that, fighting the lady and the Debt Collector again. I hate the Debt Collector now. We have to fight him 3 times. Fighting the lady and the Debt Collector took around 6 minutes each. So it took 13 minutes, so I'm assuming it took 6 minutes per boss. But the Debt Collector just has so much HP. The lady just had so much HP. So yeah, you bet I was eating my food for that. You bet I was healing up. I was actually able to get some good parries on the lady and the Debt Collector. So that's always pretty nice. One thing that confuses me though is that is Esper's ult even good? Because I feel like when I do his normal ability, that does way more damage than his normal ult, and you get it more frequently. But the thing about it is, sometimes I get my ult half. So I use my ult when the white bar is half, and then do I use my ult again when I completely deplete the white bar, or do I just use it whenever I get it? Because I feel like I still don't do a lot of damage even when their bar is down, you know? So I don't know. Please tell me what to do. But yeah, I know I do more damage when the bar's down, but it's like my ult, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't even balance out. Sometimes I don't know if I should save my ult. Sorry, I don't know if I should save my ult for when the white bar's down, because sometimes it's a quarter down and I have my ult, like, but then I won't be able to get it back once I use it and the bar's down. So do I just save it? I don't know. And with that quest done, surprisingly we can just move on to the next quest at Hunter level 24 and do the Nanily origin story, or whatever the heck it is. Not that I pay attention or anything, but yeah, most of it is just dialogue all the time, so usually you have to wait it out because you can barely skip any of it. And don't forget to touch the fries because you can get free food from them. Really good items, by the way, increasing your attack, increasing crit damage, increasing crit rate. Get those guys, tug those guys, get the free food when you can. Now to fight the boss from Danganronpa, the bear from Danganronpa. It looks really similar. Okay, that's the first thing that came to mind when I fought it. But this was probably one of my best bosses. I hit a lot of skill checks. I've been playing too much about Daylight. I hit a lot of criticals and dodges, and probably my best boss yet. It took around 3 minutes to do. And this whole section with finding Nanily or Tiger Lily or Nana Tiger was actually really cute. I love Nana Tiger and how she just like runs away from you. I just find it so cute. But after finding her, on to the next boss. And like, okay buddy, why were these level 8 minions so tough though? Like, how are these just sponges? These are basically the sponges from the freaking train zone or whatever the end game mode is in this mode. Like, how are they so tough? Okay, so I just want to say one thing. I love Wuwa because of the combat. The combat and the exploration just like itches my brain. And you know what? It was the first time I played a gacha game that was smooth. And then playing Neverness, I love how the combat is very similar. But I also love how like there's not a ton of enemies that you have to fight. Like, you can just roll with the story, you can just do the story at your own pace, and there's like some enemies, but it's more like, you know, Neverness reminding you that there's enemies and there's not too many. But then you have the boss fight. I think they overcompensate that with the boss fights, and that's perfect. There's, you know, at least you can explore and absorb the story, but I don't even absorb the story, So this boss, the thing with this boss, it took me 9 minutes, and it took me 4.5 minutes for each phase of the boss. And so the first part is 4.5 minutes, and you're not even gated by any of your stats. It's just like, I mean, kinda when you have to defeat the crystals, okay? Maybe you are time gated by stats and reactions and whatever. But in saying that, it took me nearly 10 minutes to defeat the boss. Now, that is a long time by normal standards, but honestly, I don't mind it. This whole session, this whole thing, it only took me 8 hours to beat the game as it is. Only 8 hours. And I'm hunter level 24. And the thing with my main account is like, I'm hunter level 45. No, 45. I'm hunter level 45. So you can imagine how many more hours of the game that I have on this game than on my old account. So it's like, I did things kind of efficiently. So overall, I spent less time on this game on my old account than I did on my main, but it's like things were things were relatively way more efficient, so I don't mind longer boss fights when I'm breezing through the story. So anyway, with that, you can complete the game with Esper only.